Riding Tiger with Arijit.
Hi everyone, welcome once again to Riding Tiger with Arijit, and today I have got a very special guest. Before I introduce His Excellency, let me give a little bit of background about Riding Tiger and why I started this. So I'm a bootstrap entrepreneur. I started India's first game development company at the age of 17 in 1998. Entrepreneurship as a word entrepreneur, at least didn't exist that time. And that was an era where PC used to be with CRT monitor and operating system used to be Windows 95 and then eventually Windows 1998. With the dream with 49 rupees in my pocket, I started my entrepreneurial life and eventually understood when we grew and then working globally in around 102 countries, working with ministries, diplomats, and of course, running World Leader Summit as one of the finest platform for entrepreneurs, investors, and of course, startups. I understood that entrepreneurship is basically riding on the top of a tiger. So when you adopt that little baby, little cub, you feed it with milk, and eventually when you grow, you have an intention that you will be riding on the top of it. And now it is looking for meat. It's not looking for the milk. So that meat becomes your money when you run your venture. And then eventually when you ride on the top of it, you have a risk. If you stop, the tiger might try to bite you. And that's the kind of risk that each and every person in this world who are doing massive, amazing work, they are dealing. When they go for their bed, when they put the head in the cozy pillow, they have thought process which they can't even share with many people. And today, I have got an amazing gentleman who is a leader himself and doing super amazing work. So if I go with the bio, it's so huge that probably it will take 30 minutes for me to read the entire bio. Welcome, His Excellency, to Riding Tiger with Arijit.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much, Mr. Arijit, for the warm welcome and for the thoughtful work you continue to do, in creating platforms, that elevate meaningful dialogues, your commitment to exploring leadership, ideas, and responsibilities in a nuanced way is deeply appreciated.
Thank you so
Arijit,
much.
we are living in an extraordinary moment in history
Thank
today,
you.
where
So
technology
being a
moves.
consulate general, not only that, I have a first question to ask to you. So if we look at the leadership, today's leadership is being tested by rapid global shift. So there are technologies shift, there is a geopolitics, there is a cultural difference, there is a amalgamation of cultures. And if we look at the entire principle, what is the exact inner principle or philanthropy that guides your decision when your stakes are at highest?
A nice one to start with. The first question. Anyway, when the world, accelerates, leadership, must become inwardly, still. My gratitude, belief has always been that power is temporary, but the consequences of decisions are permanent. Earlier in my public life, if I remember, I was once part of a high stakes discussion, where the fastest options promised immediate results, but, public approval and strategic advantage, yet, something you felt misaligned, I remember stepping back, not to delay action, but to reassess intent, that pause, changed the outcome. The final decision took longer, no doubt about it, but it protected relationships, dignity and long-term trust, Since then, I have learned that leadership is not just about reacting quickly, it is about responding wisely, I feel. And technology may shorten timelines, geopolitics may amplify pressure, but conscience must never be rushed. When the stakes are highest, especially, I ask three questions, is this just it is sustainable? And will it serve people beyond my term? When those answers align, even difficult decisions, bring, clarity and peace. What I believe, for that particular question.
Super. So as per my understanding goes, you have walked across the, uh, if I look at the regions, probably you have walked across cross-border regions, power structures. In your experience, what is the biggest misconception that people have about influence and if I compare that influence with true leadership, if you may enlighten us with this.
Arijit, usually the most common, misconception is believing that, authorities creates leadership. In reality, authority creates compliance, actually. Leadership creates commitment.
Right.
I recall, meeting a community leader during an international engagement, who held no official title and no media pressure, those days, and no formal power. Yet when the gentleman spoke, people listened, not because they had to, but because they trusted him, His influence, came from years of service, consistency, and personal sacrifice, Anyway, in contrast, I have also seen individuals with immense positional power struggle to, inspire even their own teams, and that contrast stayed with me, Influence can open doors, Arijit, but leadership keeps them open. True leadership is not, just about how many people follow you in favorable times, and but who stands with you when decisions are difficult, titles fade, trust endures, That's one my observation of, I must say.
Super deep, super deep. I mean, probably nobody can give such kind of input unless they are true leader. Super deep. When time is difficult, who is standing with you? People might get millions of followers in their social media, but when there is a need, they may see only 2 to 3 people who are standing with them. And that's the ground reality in today's time. So if we look at so lots many people, His Excellency, if I look at them, there are CEOs, there are CXOs, there are CIOs. I have my CTO. I have several different people in the organization. I worked with several multinational corporates, giving them a bit of consultancy, bringing them values, at the same time giving structure to the startups. But when I look at diplomats, they work in a complete different vertical and dimension. So from diplomacy to development, trust is the currency, which usually decides success or failure. Now, if I may ask you, how does one build trust at the global level, especially in the time of uncertainty and conflict? If I look at 2025, probably from 2023 to 2025, and maybe in 2026, we will see a lot of geopolitical issues. So if you can enlighten us how a common person, or maybe people with positions, C-level or maybe vice president level, diplomacy level, how they can build the global trust. It's not about only building trust with one country to another country. When you work as that kind of level, you are doing it globally. So if you can enlighten our audience, please.
To this question, Arijit, usually trust is built, quietly, tested publicly and sustained privately, I must say. In one diplomatic engagement, a period of, uncertainty, progress did not come from, strong negotiations or formal, agreements. It came from, listening, truly listening to concerns, that were never written or in briefing notes, That moment of empathy, shifted the entire conversation. And at a global level, trust begins, where leaders align words with actions. Even when circumstances change, consistency, matters more than perfection. Transparency, Arijit, matters more than image today. And in immense conflict, trust does not mean agreement. It means respect. When people, feel heard and, commitments are honored, even fragile bridges, hold without trust, and the most detailed, agreements fail. With trust, even imperfect ones endure, Arijit. That's the answer for your wonderful question asked, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this amazingly wise answer. So if I look at humanity, when you probably have a little bit of information, you translate information towards knowledge, and knowledge leads to wisdom. And this is the wisdom which is speaking. So you are advising the next generation of global leaders, entrepreneurs, policymakers, change makers. So if I look at maybe next 2 years, what will be your input to them? What mindset shift do they urgently need to adopt to shape a better future?
To this question, I really, the defining distinctively whether leaders choose cooperative over confrontation, And in I often reflect on conversations well with elders who lived through periods of global upheaval and what stayed with me was not their recollection of hardships but the emphasis on unity and how cooperations even among rivals today's time prevented deeper suffering and our children will not judge us by how advanced our technology was but by whether we used it wisely and will it ask whether we invested in education in our kids and sustainability and peace or in division and short term gain and leadership today is stewardship, very simple, and the choices we make now will shape not just policies but the moral landscape our children inherit and that's the way I feel as of today to your wonderful questions again. And I have to be very apt for your questions. Continue to do that, whichever way possible from my side.
Okay, very, very, very apt. But yeah, I can actually get the vibe that I'm speaking with a proper diplomat with these kind of answer. I know that the kind of input you're giving, and with open mind, if people are listening, definitely they will be get back to me in a complete different tone, and there will be good number of people who will be looking forward to connect you. I know that that's going to happen very soon. Okay, so my probably my last question before I go for a little bit of rapid fire personal round, which I always do with my guests here. Looking ahead 20 years, a very single decision made by today's leaders, do you believe that it will most strongly define the world our children will inherit? It's going to change a lot. The entire education policy of India is changing. Our legal structures are shifting. In fact, globally, there are multiple kind of countries who are coming up with innovative ways. If I look at Central Asia, if I look at Africa, if I look at age of people at the moment, Japan is now sitting with 40 plus age group in Japan. If I look at India, it's a very young population. If I look at China, they already crossed a different layer of doing things. If I look at probably Africa, that's gonna be the next destination because African countries are going to have number one, natural resources. Number two, technology. They are evolving, they are updating. It's a young blood that's going to happen over there. Europe probably is shifting and they are going through a lot of shifting. So I'm not sure, shall I ask 20 years or 10 years? But then I dare to ask you this question about 20 years. So do you feel what will be the single decision made by today's leaders which will most strongly define our children, which they will inherit?
For this, I think I believe tradition is not an obstacle or to innovation. It is its foundation, dear Arijit. I grew up deeply connected to heritage, history, and values down through generations. At my end, and at the same time, my professional journey demanded constant adaptation to modern systems, and technologies and global practices. I realized early, on that progress, does not require abandoning your identity of your own. It requires anchoring it. And during one cross cultural initiative, I witnessed how a project succeeded only after we align modern solutions. And with the local customs and social rhythms, the same plan when imposed, without cultural sensitivity had failed earlier. And leaders must remember that people do not hesitate resist change, sorry, and they resist loss of identity. And when innovation respects culture, societies move forward with confidence rather than and fear. The objective not to modernize culture and but to humanize modernization. That's what I feel or to 20 years or further down the line, which we may see, or the next generation will be able to see it, in a proper way, and very dignified way they should have it, outlook about this part.
Super. Uh, so when we recruit any people, His Excellency, I have bit of experience taking people, skills we can give. But if I skills we can give, but if I look at ethics, ethics comes from probably the upbringing of a child. You have been through a complete different journey in life. You started in a very humble way in life, and then eventually you reached to a global level, working with ministers, making decisions, traveling across the world. So this is more of like a kind of personal question. Did it happen any times that you felt empty inside? You felt probably you became alone. Because if you look at any successful person at the top, we are all alone. There are very few people whom you can rely on, talk, share like a friend. Did it happen in your life? You felt empty inside.
You're when you are individual living in today's world, you're always empty when you're alone, especially when you are around people, that's a different scenario. And your mind consumes so much of energy or negativity or positivity from others coming, and but what I feel whenever I'm alone, whenever I'm single, just lying down in my room, and I think I think everybody has a journey, everyone has a journey to take its own road, and the ladder of success or failure depends on your what do you call good, I say, not goodwill, I must say, willpower, I must say. And the willpower to come out of any scenarios, any adversaries, will take you places, and not just in your work life, but in your personal life, or whether it is a whether it is a diplomat or a ministers or a government or a student, anything, you take anything, anybody, any individual, that always, and it gives you boost. I think that this will give you boost to recharge yourself, and come out with flying colors in life, what I feel. And life has a very small span, what, 50, 60 years, I really don't know in today's time. And but still we are judging people, in a different scenarios. You have to have your own pathway, to success, and that ladder will take you to success, whatever is in your, in your destiny. And God is always there, do always good things, and he will take care of other things where we are always worried about things.
Right. So if I look at Liberland, which is more of like product of blockchain, an independent country altogether. And if I look at decentralization model itself. So I'm into blockchain since 2016 as a technologist. Um, what is your thought process about decentralization? And several thousands of people are joining the movement of becoming free, probably because there are situations, financial disruption is happening because of blockchain, probably because there is a knowledge share that is happening, probably it's a connectivity with technology and the huge shift that's happening. So what's your take? If we compare augmented reality, blockchain, if I compare that with cryptocurrency, what's your take in 2 words?
Actually, the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin is not actually my expertise. We have a team who look after, they are very, very much experts about that, and we have our Prime Minister, he's from Hong Kong, Justin Sun, his name is, and he's the chairman of Tron, GRO, and he's connected with the, Trump, and doing that Bitcoin work towards liberty and working on that. But as far as I am concerned, my role in my capacity as the Consul General and a special Presidential Envoy, to India and SAARC countries, I represent the Republic of Liberland in a formal and informal diplomatic engagements, and engage with governments, diplomatic machines, and international institutions, and recognized organization. Support. My role is to support Libertas' efforts to enhance international outreach and cooperation. And my engagement spans, interactions across India, SAARC countries, and international forums. With outreach expanding, to engagements involving, and stakeholders from more than 77 countries in accordance with the diplomatic, etiquette and host, country laws. Usually in line with economy, diplomacy. My role, promote dialogue and, trade, investments, arts, culture, tourism, economic cooperations, and encourage, interaction between, government bodies and chamber of commerce, industries and associations and the private sector stakeholders, and support business forums, delegates, and structure discussions. And crypto and this thing, Bitcoin is a vast this thing, it has future. Many countries have adopted as their currency, and many are going to have it. They say it has a very big role in future. Because I'm not an expert, you must be knowing more than me, about that, how it works. But say it is a in thing. Actually, it started. Many people have started 15 years back also, when no one knew about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. But now I don't know. It's reaching heights, and we don't know whether it's going to come down or not. You people are experts, about it too, and you may be in a better position to tell people about it.
No, you're more wiser than a technologist, which actually reveals the real fact, to be very honest. A quick last question before we end this podcast. Given a situation that you are in a nice park, there is a wind blowing and it's a sunny day, and there is only one chair over there, or maybe space for two people only, where you can sit and you can sit with somebody else. So if I may ask you, who would you like to have a discussion over there in this situation, and what kind of discussion it can be? It can be any imaginary character, it can be a person from your life, it can be a person whom you wish to meet, or anybody else, maybe from your family.
Actually, the main thing criteria is not about people or your own people, your parents, or friends, or a celebrity or a sports person. I think I will, in today's time, we are having a horrible time. Every country has had their own headaches. And the most important part, what I feel, is the humanity. I will give that chair to humanity if I have in my hands, because we need a lot of humanity in every people. We are becoming animals to taste time. To tell you very on a lighter note, and we have to be human. We have to be human towards humanity. So that chair will be given to not a celebrity or anybody. Humanity, I will give it, please.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for the beautiful answer and all the inputs and wisdom. Once it is live, definitely I will share the link, and I will ask people to probably connect back. And then if there is a question for the subscribers in my channel, if you have any kind of question, please put that in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.